story that I tell is the way that I remember it.
But the way he remembers it is not the way it was, according to his military records. At the time of the Battle of Dong Xuai, Geisel was an MP, a military police officer stationed in Japan. Later, he did serve in Vietnam, but as an MP, not as a Green Beret. So how can men like Dan Geisel get uniforms and medals to make them look like real heroes? You'd think it would be next to impossible to get the genuine article, that you'd have to earn them on the battlefield. Guess again.
There are catalogs now that you can literally, virtually any military decoration you can buy.
2020 was able to buy an assortment of medals from catalogs. A Purple Heart, awarded to soldiers wounded in action. A Bronze Star, the Silver Star, and the Distinguished Service Cross, which recognizes extraordinary heroism. How about the highest military honor in the land, the Medal of Honor? Men have paid for this one with their lives. It cost us $350.
If you let the phonies fabricate stories and claim valor that wasn't theirs, you've diminished the effort of those who died.
B.G. Burkett's crusade to unmask phony veterans is having an impact. Remember those leaders of veterans groups, David Goff and John Woods? After Burkett exposed Woods to a local newspaper, Woods reportedly acknowledged he did lie about serving in Vietnam. Despite that, he was elected president of his local Vietnam veterans group. As for David Goff, who claimed he was a decorated commando assassin in Vietnam, Burkett brought his story to Reader's Digest. In April, Goff pled guilty in federal court to wearing medals he was not authorized to wear.
I thank you for coming and for sitting and listening.
It may be these men believe their own stories. It may be a way for them to get recognition. But as far as B.G. Burkett is concerned, true Vietnam veterans, especially those who died and are honored on this Texas memorial, are being dishonored by the fakes.
How long are you going to keep this up, this crusade, to find these people and identify them?
Till I get them all.
That's incredible. I have the feeling, Tom, that some of these guys have come to believe these stories.
Hugh, I think down deep they know the truth, but they've told these stories publicly so often it's just easier to try to stick to them and bluff their way through.
I understand that Congress has made a small attempt to curb the abuse of medals.
The medals, that's what gives them such authenticity. And there's been a loophole in the law for all of the medals as far as heroic medals. That loophole is still open except for one. That's the Medal of Honor. They've totally closed the sale of the Medal of Honor in any way, barter, sale, trade. It's protected. The others are still available through that loophole.
You wonder if it ought to be that way for all legitimate medals.
Certainly. They earn them in battle,
Yeah.
bravery, and the people walk around wearing them
right.
fraudulently.
Thank you, Tom.
Certainly.
Well, next, the ex-fiancée of Faye Resnick, author of the explosive new book that incriminates O.J. Simpson, sits down with me, he says, to set the record straight. Stay with us.
Hey, Joey. Hey, Chad. You got Nabisco Frosted Wheat Bites? Yep. Your mom let you eat a frosted cereal? Cool, huh? With brown sugar inside? Oh, yeah. You think your mom knows something we don't?
New Nabisco Frosted Wheat Bites is the only frosted cereal with the goodness of original Nabisco Shredded Wheat. So not just kids love it.
Anyway, I can get these new Nabisco Frosted Wheat Bites? Yep. That's what Mom called my mom.
New Nabisco Frosted Wheat Bites. The frosted cereal even moms love.
When I got this rug, everyone said I was crazy. My friends always ask if they should take their shoes off. You can't even tell how often I've been to that refrigerator. And when I'm going for ice cream, I'm not thinking about what's on my feet.
Presenting Woolite Heavy Traffic Carpet Cleaner. Woolite, the fiber care expert.
Hi, Trish.
Todd's working here.
Don't remind me.
Can he make it a whole shift without Duracell batteries?
I made these special just for...
Guess not. The copper top tops them all.
Introducing Ford Contour. Gold, a world car for the 21st century. Example, elevating safety. Begin with a steel safety shell. Add standard dual airbags and seats specially designed to hold you securely in place. Then offer anti-lock braking and all-speed traction control. An exclusive in this class. The totally new Ford Contour, a world car for the 21st century.
Millions of dollars of lost savings. Savings you never received because your business used AT&T, which is why thousands of businesses are demanding proof. Call MCI and see how much of this is yours. An examination of your AT&T bill could reveal savings you never received. Savings you'll see when you switch to MCI, which is why thousands of businesses are getting a second opinion from MCI. So call us. You'll feel a lot better.
Doc says she's got to get that operation within a week or she doesn't have a chance.
He can save his wife's eyesight with dirty money.
You've had a great career, John. Don't spoil it by doing something you don't have to do.
Will Tony turn him in or turn the other way? The Commish, Saturday on ABC. Sunday, Schwarzenegger's back in one of his biggest blockbusters ever. Hamilton, Schwarzenegger. Terminator 2, Sunday here on ABC. Parental discretion advised. Sipowicz gives a violent husband a taste of his own terror.
Every time my lie detector goes beep, beep, you're gonna get smacked. What was in the garbage you put out? Just garbage. Beep, beep.
And all new NYPD Blue, Tuesday. Viewer discretion advised.
It is the latest and arguably the most explosive chapter yet in the O.J. Simpson story. A new book so damaging to O.J. Simpson that the judge has said it threatens his right to a fair trial. The author, Faye Resnick, one of Nicole Simpson's closest friends, claims that O.J. Simpson not only stalked Nicole Simpson, but also repeatedly threatened to kill her. That is Faye Resnick's story, but is it the truth? Tonight, Resnick's former fiancé, who is mentioned often in her book, comes forward, he says, to set the record straight. His name is Christian Reichardt, a Los Angeles chiropractor. He asked us to make clear that, as with our other interviews, he receives no payment, no compensation at all. Until now, Reichardt has remained silent about his friends, Nicole and O.J. Simpson, but he says Faye Resnick's new book changed that. Resnick was engaged to Christian Reichardt and lived with him off and on for 4 years. They broke up after the murders and after Faye Resnick had been through drug rehabilitation for the 3rd time. I talked with Dr. Reichardt via satellite earlier this afternoon. Dr. Reichardt, do you think that Faye Resnick is a reliable source?
Barbara, I do believe that Faye is a reliable source up to a certain extent. Nicole and her were very close friends for the last few months of Nicole's life. And I do believe that Faye's primary intent is to tell what she believes is the truth.
Mm-hmm. She says that she based what she knew on diaries. You lived with Faye. Did she keep diaries?
Not to my knowledge.
Faye Resnick says that Nicole told her repeatedly, O.J. will kill me. Now, you and Faye Resnick were engaged, you lived together. Did she ever tell you of these threats?
There was one instance where I was in a room when Faye and O.J. had a conversation on the phone. That was at a period of time when Faye was not necessarily in the full capacity of her conscience.
Because she was using drugs?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And that conversation that I was present was in an evening after that conversation, Faye plopped herself next to me on the couch and said, O.J. said he's going to kill her. My response to that was, Faye, you're overreacting. Because of their conversation had been somewhat heated, and it seemed to me that they were playing off each other of their energy, and I shrugged it off as something like, look, this is something that people say and not mean it.
In retrospect, now that Nicole Simpson is dead, does that conversation have more meaning for you, or do you still think it was just a kind of, a threat that didn't have any
Yeah, I have not changed my mind about that situation at all.
Did you ever hear O.J. Simpson threaten Nicole?
Never.
Never?
Never.
Faye Resnick writes that all of you, Nicole, O.J., you, and she, were at a sushi restaurant in May of 1993 when the name of one of Nicole's old boyfriends came up. And Faye says, O.J.'s face turned into a profile of rage. Sweat poured down his face, veins in his neck bulging. And Nicole cried, I'm afraid of you. A similar scene happened a year later when you were all together at an Italian restaurant. You were there both times. Did that happen?
Yes, I was there both times. And I do believe that people have different perspectives of situations that happen. The way that I saw it, that yes, there was definitely a flare-up of anger at the moment when a name of a former lover was mentioned in a situation where it didn't need to be mentioned. It obviously angered OJ. We all left the restaurant, but in no way, shape, or form was it that the face became contorted to a monster or anything like that. It was a situation of saying, look, Nicole, I don't need to hear this, I don't want to hear this, and basically got up and started to leave. And that was the extent of it.
No threats?
No threats in my presence.
Was O.J. Simpson an extremely jealous man?
What is extremely jealous? I think any man that loves the woman that he's with is going to have jealousy if names of former lovers are coming up. It's not necessarily something that is unnatural.
In the last month of her life, Nicole had begun to see former football player Marcus Allen, according to Faye Resnick, even though Marcus Allen was married. Did Faye ever tell you that Nicole was seeing Marcus Allen?
Never.
Never. Faye admits that she used Valium and cocaine, but shortly before Nicole's death, she writes that you insisted that she go into a drug rehab, and she did. And she said, what bothers me most is that Christian, that's you, is making me sound as if I had been on some major drug binge for the last 2 months. The reality is I've just had 2 or 3 three-day relapses, that's it. How serious was Faye's drug problem?
That's it's a very intense question, because I do believe that anybody having a problem with non-prescription drugs, even though if they have taken drugs at one point and stop, the effects of it still carry over for a period of time. So even though there might not have been an ongoing usage, there's definitely the effects to be felt in our relationship.
What I'm getting at is, was Faye Resnick a big drug user enough to perhaps make her exaggerate and not see things clearly?
In my eyes,
in your eyes,
any drug use is a problem. That will impair your vision, that will impair not your vision as in seeing, but your vision as to how you perceive life.
You have seen O.J. Simpson in prison. Did he have a reaction to this book, and do you know what it is?
I haven't seen O.J. since the book came out. I had a conversation with him on the phone in which he just asked me to please read the book.
Did he want you to come forward as you are doing today?
He asked me that if there is something different in the book that I know, whether I would come forward.
You spoke to O.J. Simpson the night of the murder, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
At what time, and what did he say?
It was approximately 9 o'clock in the evening, and I was home by myself, and he just called up to check in and see how I was doing, and said that he's going to be leaving on his trip to Chicago. He was packing his bag, and we talked about having, when he comes back, that Wednesday to have dinner that night.
How did he sound?
Just like one friend calling up the other one and checking in.
Dr. Reichart, do you think that O.J. Simpson murdered Nicole Brown Simpson?
It is such a confusing story to me. I really have no idea. Neither am I going to try to make any judgment on that at all. I'm just trying to find out what happened. I'm trying to put out some information that I have, and I only want to put that out as I see that there's misinformation out there.
We're all confused, I think. You can't help wondering if we'll ever know the truth about this.
Well, that is what the jury is going to have the burden, isn't it?
They got to sort it out.
Of sorting it out.
That's right. Thank you, Barbara. Next on the program, the unspoken rule for getting ahead in business. Most men seem to know it. Tonight, we'll let everyone in on it. Lynn Scherr with an enlightening report after this.
Did you eat something you didn't want for breakfast?
No, did I?
Cheerios has added salt.
Salt?
Quaker Toasted Oatmeal has added fat.
They add fat?
Healthy Choice has added sugar.
As in sugar.
But Nabisco Shredded Wheat has no added salt, fat, or sugar. It's 100% whole grain wheat with a delicious toasted wheat simple taste. How does that sound?
It sounds great.
Nabisco Shredded Wheat. It's just naturally good.
Only one had the power of a bird called Parker. Only one has the passion of Maynard Ferguson. Only one had the fluid grace of Wes Montgomery. Only one plays like this. Seville STS with the North Star system. The great performers are always creating a higher standard.
This month, when you come to Wal-Mart, look for this big old thank you card.
Thanks for saving at Wal-Mart.
And look for low prices on thousands of items throughout the store.
Thanks for saving at Wal-Mart.
It's our way of thanking you for 32 years of friendship. And we'll be thanking you with extra low prices throughout the month of October.
It's our 32nd anniversary, and we wouldn't be here without you, so we just like to say,
thanks for saving with us.
Polyshades by Minwax. It's a stroke of genius. Polyshades is rich stain and polyurethane protection in one. Polyshades gives wood a beautiful protective finish in half the time. Polyshades by Minwax.
People who really understand money carry the Discover card. Only Discover card offers cashback bonus award. So it's the choice of people who really know the drill. It pays to discover.
Sunday on Lois and Clark. Everything's super with Lois and the Man of Steel. Until an international crime ring led by Peter Boyle and Bruce Weitz tries to take over the world. Now Superman has to go undercover. An all-new Lois and Clark, Sunday on ABC.
No matter what happens anymore, it seems somebody's going to sue.
Everybody's a damn victim.
Everyone thinks they're entitled. Boy, has America changed. John Stossel investigates The Blame Game, an ABC News special Wednesday. The secret to success at work. Ask any man. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And men say it better. See for yourself. He says, she says. When 2020 continues. After this from our ABC stations.
This is a Channel 7 Action News Brief with Diana Lewis.
Good evening, everyone. Channel 7 News has learned new details tonight about the...
Keep in mind that the way you're talking is going to be judged by someone over you.
Best-selling author Deborah Tannen has studied the language between men and women on the job. In her new book, Talking from 9 to 5, she says there's a distinct difference between the genders in the way they communicate. She calls them male and female rituals, and she says they can get in the way of achieving our goals.
Well, do you have anything that you're considering?
Here are things that we've been thinking about.
Meet Leslie Olderman and Gary Belsky. They're both writers at Money Magazine, and this is a real meeting to discuss story ideas. We taped their conversation and let Tannen evaluate it. Listen closely to Leslie's pitch and notice how indirect and polite she is about her suggestions.
So I'm just throwing things out.
Go on.
So that's good. Then this one's really way out, but you're gonna think I'm completely insane. But you know, there's like this whole like spiritual kind of drive thing. I can see you like you're going on.
She says women regularly undercut themselves.
I don't even know if that's the angle exactly. I'm not sure if that's the angle. All I'm saying is I'm sort of throwing that out as something.
Okay.
Maybe there's something in that. It's a little way out for us.
Next.
We taped similar encounters at a communications company, an investment banking firm, and an oil company. They got so used to our cameras, they didn't even realize they were displaying one of the most common traits Tannen has found among women, putting themselves in a one-down position. That's her shorthand for the opposite of one-up. And casting yourself in an inferior light is not where you want to be on the office seesaw.
Thanks for calling me back this morning.
Women, Tannen says, tend to say thank you too much, even when no one has done them a favor.
Great, thank you. Okay, thanks.
So in our workroom. Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Okay, good, thank you. Okay, good. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
If you say thank you, it's a polite way to end the meeting, but it puts you in the position of saying, you did me a favor. And so if I say thank you, but I know I'm not really beholden to you, and you say to me, thank you, then I feel the balance has been restored. But if I say thank you as a ritual ending and you say, you're welcome, then I think, huh? How come I end up feeling like I'm obligated, somebody did me a favor when I know
This is what they're getting paid for.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't do me a favor, he's doing his job.
Another typically female conversation style Tannen told us to look out for is the ritual sorry, uttering an apology when you haven't done anything wrong. Listen to this Chevron executive, Sharon Young, apologize to one of her colleagues for not returning his call quickly enough.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm just getting back to you. I know you sent me a phone message. But
Sharon was using this, sorry, it took me so long to get back to you, as a ritual way to get into the interaction.
My inclination is to say, well, it's very polite. There's nothing wrong with that.
Women will often say, I'm sorry, in a work situation, to say, I'm sorry that happened, and it can be interpreted as it must be her fault. That's where it can be a little bit risky in a work setting.
Thanks. In other words, there's nothing wrong with all that politeness, as long as everyone understands it's just a formality. Something women do without meaning to imply any guilt. Men, on the other hand, only seem to apologize when they absolutely need to. And even then, they minimize their blame. Listen to Gary, the money writer. It seems he was in the doghouse for not going through proper channels in assigning work to a reporter. So he tells the reporter's boss, Kathy, that he wants to...
A, apologize, but B, but B, make sure I get what I want.
Notice how easily Kathy lets Gary off the hook, even though he did something wrong.
Always ask Sion, because she's my...
She also, I mean, well, I was
You didn't know
in
that
error.
because I don't send around that.
She says, you really should have asked me, and he said, well, you weren't here. And she says, well, you should have asked my deputy.
Right.
And then she immediately says, but you couldn't know that.
So she, when you're softening the whole thing.
Right. She's saving face for him. And many of the rituals that women use are based on this assumption that each one saves face for the other person. So you don't pin other people.
Thank you.
And then she laughs, which is another way it kind of makes it all right.
Tannen says we pick up these rituals very early in playgroups with other children of our own sex. When little girls play, Tannen says, talk binds them together, sharing secrets and agreeing with each other. For boys, there's much less talk and more competing. Status is measured by who gives orders. Boys go after what they want in a very direct way.
That's mine.
On the other hand, when little girls disagree, they negotiate, or at least take turns.
Ariella, I go first. No, Julia, we take turns going first.
There's a great value placed on compromise and keeping the appearance for girls and keeping the appearance of equality. So a girl who tries to tell other girls what to do is disliked and she's called bossy. A boy who tells other boys what to do is liked and he's the leader.
The most striking evidence we found of how both men and women hold on to the styles they've learned in playgroups is listening to the way they give orders at work. Men were short, declarative, direct.
Get a hold of that study, too, please. Let's get a status at that meeting as to where folks are. What are some of the ideas they're coming up with? We just got to sort of find this stuff out.
Yeah.
Soon.
Now listen to how tentative many women are when they give orders.
And I'm just, maybe one thing that you can keep in mind as you're doing this of how we could maybe do it next year.
Right. And maybe, Mandy, you could do one of those, too.
Okay. Maybe you could just go through, I don't know if you can remember this from looking at all the different companies.
Let me ask you, I would like to put you on editor's notes this week.
Then maybe we can give Earl and some of the others a little bit of support there.
Pretty striking, huh? The women are indirect in a way that it refrains from imposing on the other person and makes it seem almost as if the other person's being given a choice. So you heard over and over again, maybe you could, if you could.
For some reason I thought
Tannen insists there is nothing intrinsically wrong with civility in the office.
Okay. And I don't know about that other...
Kathy in the videotape, who had a lot of women working for her as reporters, and it seemed quite clear to me that she was doing a wonderful job, and I would think creating a very pleasant and positive work environment for the women that worked for her.
But if there were a lot of men working for her?
There could be confusion if there were men working for her who might not appreciate her style as much as, and also might literally not understand what she wanted.
Does this kind of behavior keep women down.
Yes, these conversational rituals can be the basis for underestimating a woman's capabilities. She can be seen as incompetent, whereas she thinks she's being considerate. She can be seen as lacking in confidence, whereas she feels she's simply being a good person, not flaunting her authority.
How much do women have to be one of the guys in order to play? And who's going to put pressure on the men to be one of the gals at the same time?
We have to walk a fine line between talking in ways that are expected of men, but still retain enough femininity so that we can be accepted and still seen as likable.
Is there a flip side to that? Is there a downside for men who adopt female, quote, behavior?
If women who talk too much like men are seen as aggressive, men who talk too much like women are seen as wimps. And they will pay an even greater price than women will pay, because not only won't they be respected, but they also won't be liked.
It's important to remember that none of these conversation styles belongs exclusively to one sex or the other. The gender lines can be blurry.
Kenny, CPC, 200 to buy notebook.
And Tannen says some jobs are so consuming, they require women to be just as direct as men.
Have a buyer coming in PCP, but coming in, no. Do nothing yet.
Tannen says this stock trader, for example, doesn't pull any punches, not only because of the nature of her work, but perhaps because she's from New York City.
Indirectness is one of the most culturally relative linguistic strategies. So while New Yorkers are much more likely to be direct, even if they're women, Midwesterners are much more likely to be indirect, even if they're men.
What do you say to the person who's sitting at home watching this and saying, give me a break, I got enough to worry about at work. I can't start worrying about the words I use or how I talk to somebody. What do you say to that person?
If you don't feel you're getting the advancement that you deserve, if you feel that you've told people to do things and somehow they're not doing it, you said it in plain English, but you're just not getting the results that you want, well, then it's in your own interest to think about what could I do differently to get different results.
Okay, I feel a little outnumbered here, but after seeing this piece, what can women learn from men, and what can men learn from women?
Well, keep in mind, first of all, Hugh, that Deborah Tannen says it's not that one thing is better than another, it just may be more effective. For instance, she says men can learn from female rituals to praise their underlings and their colleagues more. They can also learn to consult them more before making a decision. Women tend to do that. Women, on the other hand, can learn about men's ritual fighting. It's okay to fight, just don't take it so seriously or personally.
But you know, where there are more women, as there are in our offices, we're very straight. And maybe when there are more women, things will be different. If anything, as I listen to this, you're kinder and I'm more direct, you know?
Well, I think it has
I'm from the Midwest, too, and you're from New York.
It has to do with the rules changing. And Barbara, you were certainly instrumental in getting a lot of those rules to change. So there will be a difference.
Fascinating.
Do we say thank you?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the program, a performer who speaks a language everyone understands, the incredible Tom Jones. Stay with us.
We just weren't hungry, dear.
Well, I'll make cappuccino.
Cappuccino.
They don't have a rug, but they have a cappuccino machine.
Honey, what's going on?
Maxwell House Cappuccino. Delicious.
I'll help with the dishes.
Oh, that's okay. We have a dishwasher, too.
Maxwell House Cappuccino. The magic without the machine.
If your child's cold doesn't slow him down, his cold medicine sure could. So we created non-drowsy Triaminic AM, dye-free cough and cold relief that won't slow kids down. New Triaminic AM, relief without drowsiness.
Everybody needs some money sometime.
When you need money fast.
Hello, Dad?
Count on Western Union. We send more money to more people around the world than anyone else. Western Union, the fastest way to send money worldwide.
I've bought 13 minivans from the Chrysler Corporation.
I put all my trust in Dodge vehicles and wouldn't buy anything else.
The Eagle Vision's my first American car in 15 years. It's exceptional.
I had a Nissan Maxima. My Concorde is a superior vehicle.
It seems our owners let go of their steering wheels just long enough to applaud.
A mature look at breakfast.
Hold on there, hot foot. You gotta eat. I'm waiting.
Always bolting out without breakfast?
Will you relax?
How about trying the big, ripe, sweet taste of Kellogg's Cherry Pop-Tarts?
The nectar of the gods.
Hot and fast from the toaster.
We love cherries.
Listen to the voice of maturity. They're good.
Isn't that better?
Real good, real fast.
Life is just a bowl of cherries. But skipping breakfast is the pits.
ABC News 2020 will continue in a moment.
Undefeated Alabama hosts Mississippi, Michigan invades Illinois, or regional action from the WAC, Pac-10, or ACC Saturday on ABC's College Football.
A Monday night party.
Bachelorette party? It's like a bachelor party, only for bachelorettes.
But Coach doesn't want Christine to go.
I might have fun.
And she might wind up in jail. An all-new Coach. Then on Blue Skies, Ellie breaks up with her boyfriend and Joel's afraid Russell will make a move.
You do not hear women say the sex is great.
Hear it all the time.
Monday starting at 8, 7 Central on ABC.
Well, the good news is you and Mark own the busiest towing service in the county.
So what's the bad news?
Someone's on the phone at your garage. I can't get through.
Great. We're stuck.
What's going on?
So if it's happening to us, what's happening to our customers?
Look, why don't we just call another garage? Okay?
That's what's happening. They're calling somebody else.
He was gritty, sweaty, down-to-earth, and sensuous. In the 60s, a phenomenon. Tom Jones, the coal miner's son who could drive an audience wild with his powerful voice and the sex appeal to match. Now at 54, Tom Jones is into something new. His new album, which debuted this week, is on a label best known for rap stars. And his music isn't the only thing that's changed. As Bob Brown found out, so has his image.
You get stereotyped. I mean, I've had it said that, oh yeah, Tom Jones, the guy with the tight pants and, you know, and the open neck shirt, and that was it. You know, this image was happening that I thought it's overpowering my talent. I'm becoming a caricature of myself.
From the beginning, Tom Jones capitalized on being one of the few solo performers who sent fans into hysterics in an era when pop music was dominated by groups like the Beatles and the Stones. Women threw panties and hotel keys on stage while he sang It's Not Unusual or What's New, Pussycat. And he became the highest paid performer in Las Vegas, one of the first to earn $100,000 a week. He played the caricature for all it was worth.
I got criticized for it because I was making too much out of it. It was my own fault. I mean, I took it a step further. You know, I was capitalizing on it, if you like. And it just got out of hand. Then the following day, the thing that's talked about more than anything else is how many pairs of underwear were thrown up. Not what was the show like, what was my voice like.
Playing venues better known for bands like EMF that were unborn when Jones became a star. Last year, Jones stole the show at a Carnegie Hall concert for rainforest projects organized by the rock musician Sting.
I was curious to know how it would go across to this audience if they had come to see George Michael. Tina Turner was the only one that's like my age. Sting. But it was a wonderful feeling. People were saying, it's your night tonight. You did it tonight.
Baby, do you understand me now?
One of the people who pushed hardest for the image change is Jones's son, also his manager since 1986, Mark Woodward. Woodward wanted to change the instruments and arrangements that Jones was used to singing with.
He was singing with lots and lots of strings and less than contemporary rhythm arrangements. A big vocalist like Tom might be better with a really edgy, grungy production, almost, than something that's very smooth.
I'm going to change the key, taking it down.
Maybe.
It's your thing. Do what you want to do. It's your thing.
Do you want to do that again?
Look at that. Whoa, hey, look at that. More panties. Panties again.
Also under his son's advice, Jones strayed off the conventional talk show circuit to appear with more controversial hosts like Howard Stern, where Jones was good-natured if somewhat monosyllabic in discussing the career history for which he was always best known.
Then they would throw the panties up on stage.
Yeah.
And then they would come in, and would they knock on your hotel room door and they try to get in your room?
Yeah. It's been...
Oh, man, what's that like? Take me through that. Now, all of a sudden, and these are good-looking women?
Yeah, well, not all, but some were, yeah.
Young?
Some are.
As good as they are for publicity, image changes and comebacks pay only some of the bills. So when Jones performs these days, the old songs and rituals also have their place. This show, at a jammed club called Toad's Place in New Haven, Connecticut, indicated there's room for both. It was crowded with young people
22
and what you might call some of Tom Jones's vintage fans.
62 36
And lots of people in between.
I used to be a little kid sitting in front of the TV, this close, drooling over him.
We're about the same age. He's like fine wine. He's getting better. So am I.
Try a little gentleness. That's all you got to do now.
I can't play safe. I like to walk the edge. I like to get on stage and sing as powerfully as possible. I want them to realize how good my voice is. If I trained for opera, I would have been a full-fledged tenor, but still with a baritone quality, you see, because my range is so big. When you sing in a land of singers, you have to be good.
The land of singers is Wales, where Jones was noticed for his voice from his earliest days. Jones now keeps this Welsh country estate less than a half-hour's drive from the hills where he was born in a coal town called Pontypridd, to a miner and his wife who lived in this corner house.
When I was a baby, a gypsy came and she was selling clothespins, or clothes pegs, we called them. And she saw me and she saw the top of my head and she said, oh, he's got a round crown. This boy's going to go all over the world. You know, and then when I got married, my father said, oh, yeah, he's going to go all over the world. He went around the bloody corner. That's as far as he's gone, you know, so.
Around the corner was as far as he went when he got married at the age of 16 to his sweetheart, Linda. He was Tom Woodward then, a factory worker known for his fighting and his drinking as well as his voice. But he quickly realized it was the voice that set him apart.
When I was a teenager and I would go into a dance hall, you know, when you start to talk to girls and you know, you're not getting anywhere. But when I got up and sang a song, a whole different ballgame.
Is that why you went into music? Because of the way people responded to you when you sang?
Yes.
It made you a different person in their eyes?
Yeah. When you have something that's really different, that's a special gift, it spills over into, it gives you confidence.
By the time he got his first hit record and started touring, Jones had been married for 8 years. But the manager who discovered him and developed his commercial success, Gordon Mills, promoted Jones at first as a single man who traded on his image as a sex symbol. Jones's son, Mark, says he wasn't aware until he was older that for the first few years of his father's career, he and his mother were publicly non-existent.
I think it did affect me. I was only 8 years old, so I didn't really remember, but it must have had a profound effect on my mother, for her to have to be non-existent. That's the reality of it.
People have wondered over the years how you kept your marriage together under the conditions that existed when you were performing. How did you?
It's difficult, more for my wife than myself. From her side, it's hard sometimes, but she's put up with it. She's never ever said to me, I can't deal with this anymore. You know, if you don't stop this, I'm leaving, which some wives would say.
Linda Woodward avoids doing interviews and isn't photographed often, but they have stayed married for 38 years. This year, Jones hit the tabloids in a somewhat different light, more reflective of his age and experience. Back in his home country, he was awarded a fellowship to the Welsh College of Music and Drama, making him Dr. Jones, and prompting one columnist to write, I know you've been keen to change your image. By all means, lecture, but keep your shirt open.
It happened every day. what you say.
The fact that there's a new Tom Jones around means that the old one took decent care of himself and learned from the friends like Elvis Presley who didn't.
He said, how do you keep sane? What drug do you take to keep you sane? I said, that's why I am sane, because I don't bother with drugs. I love what I do, so I wouldn't do anything to jeopardize that. You know, and I know the pressure comes with it. But, you know, working on construction, which I used to do, and to get up in Wales early in the morning and go out and work outside, you know, that is pressure. Once I got my first hit record, I thought, I never have to think about that again.
Thank you so much, everybody. God bless you.
What a talent. You know, and watching this report of yours, Bob, is the first time I ever felt that I really got to know Tom Jones's personality.
You know, he is an interesting fellow, and I found that he's a really good raconteur when you get to sit him. He's got a lot of stories to spin about the old days. Also, you know, it's such a cliche for a performer to say how grateful they are for success and this and that, but in his case, I think there's a lot of substance behind it. Because of the way he was brought up and because of the success that he's had, I think very early on he realized this is a great thing, I don't want to blow it.
He's genuine. Thank you, Bob. We'll be right back.
Coming up next on The Update, shocking new details surrounding a high school student accused of murdering a sub-shop worker. And a Hollywood legend, Burt Lancaster, has died. Plus, potato salad is pulled out of stores tonight. Those stories and more next on The Update.
I was really downing those tablets. I started to think there was something really wrong with my stomach. Was I relieved when my doctor said I just needed a stronger antacid tablet?
Mylanta tablets are made stronger to last longer. Compared to extra-strength Tums, Mylanta is shown to be more effective and longer-lasting at controlling stomach acid.
Unbelievable.
Mylanta tablets, made stronger to last longer.
My doctor said Mylanta.
Time now to check in with Nightline, and Ted Koppel has a preview of tonight's program.
Tonight on Nightline, the controversy raging around the man attempting to link race, IQ, and your chances for success. Is it a dirty little secret or a racist trap? That'll be our focus on Nightline tonight.
That's Nightline after your local news. And that is 2020 for tonight. We thank you for joining us.
Remember, we're in touch, so you be in touch. I'm Barbara Walters.
And I'm Hugh Downs.
And for all of us here at 2020, have a good weekend. Good night.
Tonight on The Update, prosecutors reveal shocking new details about the possible motive behind the murder of a sub-shop worker. We'll have a live report. Plus, a surprising development in the O.J. Simpson trial and a look at the Great Pumpkin. Those stories and more tonight on The Update.
2020 is a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.